This just in. Apparently, when born into a Christian family, your parents aren't required to name you Christian. Hi and welcome to a brand new episode of... I haven't named this news show yet, but it is weekly and I do try my very best. Now please do remember, news always sinks in a little better if you drown yourself in alcohol. Oh my god, that was dreadful. Now where were we? Let me add something interesting to the background. Great, in the last episode, linked below, I told you that if you had any news that you stumbled upon in your own country or just global news that you thought might be interesting, you can send it to me on Instagram. Now, let's see how much I've received. Drumroll, please. Absolutely fuck all. Which means I've been forced to find news on my own. Do keep in mind, however, that at any point in time you can send me news which I can then use for future episodes. Until then, I'll have a counter in the bottom corner showing how many weeks it's been since I started that I haven't received any news from the audience. Recently there's been a debate on Danish television, and by recently I mean 3 years ago because I'm too much of a fucking retard to check the dates, concerning women wearing burqas. In this debate, a Danish Muslim in a Niqab was talking to the host of the show. They were debating whether or not the burqa gave her freedom. She said she felt very free in the burqa, and the host kept saying that because he couldn't see her facial expressions, he couldn't really see her as a human. A bit odd. Now, say what you will about burqas, but if you're wearing one and you decide to try and break into the porn industry, I think it's going to be quite difficult. You typically need to not wear clothes there. However, maybe there's a little niche of people who just get really turned on by eyes. Actually, that's 100% out there. So you know what? Go for it. Now, weather. Thank you. It is currently being reported that at the North Pole it is too cold to embark on a midnight stroll. Unless, of course, you're wearing enough clothing. Back to you. Great. Now, in global news, Ducks have stopped the Islanders. Now, I don't know much about ice hockey, I just think it's a funny title and that it would be considered global news. What a global phenomenon that is. It's funny because the article is titled that way and it leads me to imagine a group of ducks surrounding a few islanders and then just and maybe eating their bones or something. That was everything for this week's episode of It Still Doesn't Have a Name, but it's half news anyway. Keep in mind you can still send me news on Instagram. For now, I'll just fuck off, I guess. Your parents aren't forced to fuck. They aren't forced to fuck. No, brilliantly said.